Hey listeners, just a quick note that the first 7 episodes of this series were recorded before the tragic passing of Akira Toriyama. We hope that by sharing our love and passion for what he has created, we can somehow honor his memory.
Yep, you will be missed, Akira. Hi everyone, welcome back to Nerdy Jock Media Presents Dragon Ball Z Megapod Episode 6. We're going to be covering Episode 36 through 46 today, so if you're not caught up, make sure to catch up. But also before you do that, guys, make sure to subscribe and like us if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening on an audio podcast, make sure to give us 5 stars and write a nice review. We love it. We want to keep this thing rolling, and we can't do it without your help. So keep tuning in because we're going to keep turning out some amazing episodes. And this is my co-host, by the way, DK, aka the DB Guru. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I am pumped. I'm so ready for this episode because we got a lot of really fun stuff to get through today. But as you can see, we can't really do anything until we get our spaceship done because we are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Gotta get to Namek to save some people.
Yep. All of our friends are dead.
Yeah, they're all dead.
They're all dead. These are the only ones that are still alive.
Yeah,
everybody else gone.
Few friends, so we got to make do with what we can do. So before we can go anywhere, we got to get our ship ready. So then we are
onward to Namek!
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We're gonna jump right in here now for you real quick here. We are starting with episode 36. So if you guys are not caught up, make sure to watch these episodes. Some of these are fillers, which we're gonna be getting into, but there's a little bit of fun here and there too. Okay, do you wanna get us started here?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know, where we left off last, our friends behind us just survived by the skin of their teeth against the Saiyans, against Vegeta. Right. I mean, there was a threat that no one was ready for. Bulma's boyfriend from the time she was 16 years old is dead. Chaozu's dead for the second time. And not only that, he doesn't have a body, which we've established, it's canonized already in DBZ. If you die, you need to preserve your body because you need to have a vessel to come back to.
Right.
You know, that ghost needs a machine to go back to eventually. So his body's gone. I can see you got a thought.
I have a thought. Quick thought here, though. Future spoiler. I do know how they bring Chaozu back, but we will get to that on the next episode.
Right. And maybe Krillin, too. I mean, nothing. No, Krillin's alive.
He's alive. Krillin's
good. Yeah, nothing's going to happen to Krillin.
It's Krillin. He's always alive. He's always going to be around.
Dependable.
Yeah, he's dependable.
He is very dependable, I got to say. I think we've spent a lot of this podcast just hyping Krillin up. He's a very looked down upon character, but even well into the Cell Saga, and I'll save all those takes for when we get to the Cell Saga, there are things that Krillin does where it's like, man, this guy is dependable as shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. But back on the point here, we are about to get into probably one of the most fun arcs in Dragon Ball history. We're about to go to Namek to do the Frieza Saga. There's just so much great, juicy storytelling in this next 50 to 100 plus episodes, actually.
Yeah,
of the Frieza Saga.
It's a lot. It's if we're talking the orange bricks, which our audience, if you're in the West, if you're in the United States, it's probably the most ubiquitous release outside of the Blu-rays. I believe it's season 2 and season 3 of those sets. Or I think it's also Dragon Box 2 or 3 if you're lucky enough to have those. I mean, and I think each of those is about 40 something episodes or something. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So Vegeta Saga, Saiyan Saga, this little sliver here, and then you go to Frieza Saga and boom. Yeah. They definitely expanded out here.
At a certain point, we've talked off pod, and we don't know if we're going to do this yet, but a little peek into the inside baseball. When we get to the actual fight with Frieza, we might have to stop going episode by episode and just cover a bunch of episodes and just talk about it as though it is one. Because literally, you go through 10 stretches of episodes where, you know, if we were talking about everything that happened in the episodes, well, Frieza threw 30 punches this episode, and Goku threw this many punches, and there were this many inner monologues, and Bulma like went on this misadventure or whatever. It's a lot. So
we won't need to do every detail there, but we're gonna cover a lot of it. I mean, we've got some great stuff coming up in the Namek saga. We have Zarbon Dodoria. We have the Ginyu Force.
Right.
We have the Elder Namek. We have some history of the Namekians we're gonna get into. We have just a lot of great content in one of my favorite sagas.
I have a question about this, because this is something that's very interesting to me, and I apologize to anybody listening or watching if I repeat myself. I'm sure I do it a lot, but this has to be a precedent in shonen manga that they go into outer space and go to a different planet.
Right.
A shonen battle manga. There was largely a comedic fantasy type show for the longest time, and then it became a sci-fi fantasy show once Raditz showed up and had this external threat from space. But now having the son of Goku and Bulma, his original friend, partner, and his best friend Krillin, potentially going to another planet to find Dragon Balls from another race. I mean, if there's anybody out there, if you're watching or listening in any medium that allows comments, if you can think of anything pre-Dragon Ball, a shonen manga that started out grounded on a terrestrial level and then they went to outer space that isn't Gundam, because that's like a space mech show.
Yeah.
It can't be a mech show. It can't be something explicitly space. It has to be.
No Robotech, Macross, Gundam. No, those guys are out there.
Right. Yeah. Nothing mech. It would have to be something like if Fist of the North Star, if Ken ever goes to outer space or something like that. I would love to know. I mean, maybe, I don't know when Saint, is it Seiya or Saya came out? I think it was at some point contemporaneously being released with Dragon Ball, and because it has Zodiac themes, maybe there's Celestial go to space. Some people are already like, Sailor Moon, dumbass. I think Sailor Moon came out a little bit after, codenamed Sailor V. I don't know, did she go to space? These things I don't know. He calls me the DB guru, but I'm genuinely curious about these things because there's so many, barriers that this show broke and this comic broke. And this might be the first instance of a shonen battle manga where the characters go to outer space for a prolonged period of time. And also maybe the only time they ever go to outer space in the whole thing, minus Vegeta. Not
counting Super, obviously.
Oh yeah, not counting Super. Yeah, obviously, they go all over space.
They go, they go everywhere.
And not counting the movies, like when they go to new, like the Metal Cooler movie and all that good stuff. And I think Boo. I don't think Heaven counts. Like if you go to Kaioshin's realm, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, but there's a lot. This is very bittersweet right here. Like they barely survived. But there's hope, and it's kind of funny. You mentioned this about Krillin's deductive reasoning here, because he didn't get a big clue, but he made a really big conclusion based on what he got.
Oh yeah. He heard one line from Vegeta about like, oh, this guy's a Namekian. We can get Dragon Balls from planet Namek, and then that's literally I think, I mean, not word for verbatim, word for word, but that's essentially what Krillin heard from Vegeta. It's one line, one throw-off line.
Right.
Is basically determining the future of the series here.
And it was a hypothetical, too. Yeah. Because he's like, kill the Namekian. Nab was like, what about the Dragon Balls? It's like, wait, I heard a rumor once that there was some weird magic ball on Namek. Maybe they've got their own. Maybe.
Like, but I thought it was just a rumor. Who knows? Maybe it's real.
Right, exactly. So I mean, it's a long shot, but I mean, hey,
anything's possible in the world of Dragon Ball.
Right.
So that's our introduction, guys. Now we're gonna go into episode 36, picking up the pieces. I'm gonna give you guys a quick breakdown, synopsis, and we'll get right into it. It starts off with the battle. The Saiyans finally won. Like you said, Goku, Krillin, and the others, they mourn the loss of Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, and Piccolo, guys. So pour a beer out, pour whatever you're drinking, orange juice if you're not drinking alcohol, maybe a hard cider, kombucha, it doesn't matter.
Kombucha,
yeah. Hey, to each their own. And with Kami also gone, the Earth's Dragon Balls have disappeared. So there is no hope for wishing any of the fallen heroes back to life. Or is there?
And I just realized as you gave that beautiful synopsis, I was like, this is the first time in all of Dragon Ball where the Dragon Balls are not present.
Yeah. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, there's the charge up periods, in between uses, obviously, but this is the first time where there are no Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball, at least that we know of.
So so it's a terrifying moment for these people. I mean, this one also, it's a key point to note out that this is a canon episode, so this is in the manga as well.
Right,
important, and it's good. These next two episodes are actually really great connector episodes. I like these first two where they're in the hospital. Well, let's get there. So. First things first, Krillin tells a gang, which we just went over a second ago, that we could possibly bring them back with the Namekian Dragon Balls, which we don't know about. And then we get into some pretty emotional moments here.
We go to the graveyard of all the people, basically. Yeah.
Basically, Bulma and Roshi and Krillin, they get in a ship and they go back to the wasteland, and they pick up the dead bodies of their comrades and put them in little like I guess cryopods, you would kind of call them. Yeah.
It's what they did too when Piccolo killed them, or Piccolo Daimao killed them back in Dragon Ball. They put them in little pods because there's that little sweet moment where Chaozu's opens up and he jumps out and hugs Tien and all that stuff. But
that'll bring a tear to your eye on that one. Yeah.
And but there's the line here where it's like, just to remind everybody, and I know I said it earlier, where someone's like, well, where's Chaozu's body? And I think Krillin says something euphemistic, like, "Yeah, you're not gonna find it.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Yeah,
this one hits. This one kind of hits. You're like, damn. And then Bulma has a pretty big moment here where she just has a little flashback of all the scenes from Yamcha going back from Dragon Ball and back in the day, and it really does kind of hit hard. It's one of those really sad moments in Dragon Ball that it does give their deaths a little bit more. What's the word?
Gravity.
Yeah, it gives it a little more gravity. Perfect. And so it's a really, really cool little scene there too. Now, Yachirobe also happens to be on this ship with them, of course.
Which is like having your drunk uncle come to your mom's funeral, basically.
Yeah. Yachirobe will just, from now on, he's going to be like drunk uncle,
He's done everything useful that Dragon Ball ever needs him to do. He prevented Vegeta from killing our heroes 2 times.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he comes in clutch, like we did talk about in the previous episode, how important he is. But when he's not saving lives like that, doing one thing to save the day, he's usually sticking his foot in his mouth somewhere. So
he's just talking a lot of shit.
Yeah. So Chi-Chi's all pissed off that Gohan, doesn't want to study already. She's not really worried about Goku that much.
Yeah, Yajirobe kind of he's like, hey, woman, your husband's been crushed. His bones are dust. He's like, your son is fine. He's got a scrape on him. Why aren't you paying attention to your husband? Yeah. And she makes some comment, because obviously she blames Goku for all these things happening to her baby. And then
and then Yajirobe literally says, he says to Goku, he says, hey, do you mind if I slug her for you? I'm like, what? So this was not made in 2024 because we do not condone violence against women. Right. I mean, maybe if it's a villain, but there's not really too many bad villains in this show either, really, to be honest. But not
unless you're my girlfriend and you still think Frieza is a woman, even well into the Cell Saga.
Yeah. I think Frieza's sex, we'll get in this later, but I think it's ambiguous. I don't know. Could he be? I don't even know what Frieza really is.
They use he all the time. I mean, it's like the only thing ambiguous is that he has lipstick. So it's like he could just be David Bowie, man. Yeah. David Bowie wore lipstick.
He's got that vibe.
Yeah.
So then we get the little info dump, which I think it's kind of a stretch, honestly, but it's Dragon Ball. Let's just have some fun. Where Krillin explains that the Namekian Dragon Balls, the dynamic of them being another set of those balls out somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And Goku reaches out to King Kai with his mind. He's like, hey, can you let us know where Namek is? King Kai comes in. Everybody's like, whoa, there's someone talking in my head, right here. And he lets them know what it is. They all get excited, like, great, we can find it. And then Bulma, who is the scientist, we forget, she shows them. It's like, no, that's way too far. If we took my dad's fastest ship, it would take us, how many years or something?
43,339 light years to get to Namek.
Oh, okay, so if you were traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 43,339 years.
So they're going to need some better technology if they're ever planning on getting to Namek.
Right.
In anyone's lifetime, but before the end of humanity.
Right.
And then This is a classic ending. The episode ends with a classic shot of the gang pointing forward and going onward to Namek,
as we did in the intro.
Which, cool little moment. That's actually iconic and classic at this point. If there's any t-shirts out there with Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan pointing onward to Namek, I want that.
If we make merch, we can just make one of us doing it too.
We should just do that. Make our own merch.
We should, yeah. I mean, this, in the comic and in the show, what I love about this moment is that, we do have these dark, mature moments where we are reminded of all the terrible things that have happened, what the stakes of this story are. And this is a moment where we, like our friends, get to experience the joy of, we have hope.
Yes.
We have hope. And even though, Goku's out, everybody else is dead. Basically, the only people that are left are Krillin and Gohan that are worth their salt at anything.
Right.
And Gohan, he's still only 5 years old. Yeah. He can't do anything yet. And Krillin, I mean, he's pretty good, but he's not. He's no Goku.
Yeah.
And we don't know what kind of threats they're going to meet out in the universe, but there's some hope, and that's a nice little moment.
Great little end point on that episode. Thank you, sir.
And then on to episode 37, Plans for Departure.
All right, let me scroll down here. Plans for Departure. All right, so as the weak and weary warriors of planet Earth are bandaged and cared for, Bulma accidentally destroys a Saiyan spaceship, leaving no way to get to planet Namek. But Mr. Popo reveals that there might be another spacecraft they can use. Can they get to it in time? And will the old and forgotten ship even work if they do?
Oh yeah, so this is a point that we didn't cover in the last thing, but the thing that gave them hope was they're like, oh, the Saiyan ships can go that far.
Exactly.
Maybe our technology can't, but they have a special technology, which obviously, for anybody who's a UFO nut out there who have all the theories about folding space-time, and that's why they can move the way they do and all that stuff, that appears to be sort of if we can call it the laws of physics that these ships operate by. Because obviously, as we will see later, Goku operates a ship that can get to Namek in a week, and it has no thrust. He feels no G-forces from it. So Dr. Briefs has to build a gravity generator inside so he can train. Yeah. Which if it had thrust, I mean, he wouldn't need to do that, but that would be like 1,000,000 times Earth's gravity if it was thrusting fast enough, past the speed of light to get there in 7 days. But Nappa's ship is left.
Right. Nappa ship, yep.
Right.
And we got Kami's ship.
Right.
As well.
Which we will learn about because we start out in the hospital.
Yeah. We start in the hospital. Okay?
Goku's in a futuristic coffin type thing, only his head is poking out. He's wrapped head to toe in bandages. Yep. He's just messed up.
Yeah. We do see a really funny moment to start the episode. Gohan, Roshi, Chi-Chi, they're sitting in the lobby just kind of waiting out there. And, we know Goku's in bad shape. We don't know how bad. And then you just hear a scream, like a death-defying scream, like you almost like he's powering up. But it turns out that behind the double doors, Goku is just getting a shot. Or scared to get a shot. So, and it's funny because there's only one moment in the Vegeta fight where Goku actually screamed in pain, and that's when Vegeta was in his Uzuru form, and he smashes his bones.
Crushes him, yeah.
Or he crushes him. And then you hear Goku scream, and then, to have this episode just open up with him screaming just like that, but realize it's just he hates shots is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the episode, we jump to Bulma accidentally destroying the remaining Saiyan ship with... Wait, is that with Popo first?
No, I know. She destroys the ship first.
Oh, that's right.
So we got this great moment of hope in the last episode, like we just said. Finally, there's, we can get our friends back. And then...
She pushes the wrong button. That's right.
What was that?
No, it's on my computer. Okay. She pushes the wrong button and she self-destructs the ship.
Right.
Huge loss there.
So now there's no hope at all. And we're like, crap, now what are we going to do? Then all of a sudden, Mr. Popo's in the window.
Conveniently, Mr. Popo pops up out of nowhere.
Right.
Now, we need to take a quick moment here to discuss this situation, Dan. How should we approach this? This has probably been done to death millions of times. So we don't.
Yeah. I think there's been enough commentary on the design of Mr. Popo. I mean, he his design is a little it's a little cringe now.
It's a little cringe now.
To say the least. I mean, you can discuss the nuances of sort of how the Japanese society consumed American media.
Right.
They didn't have a civil rights movement largely in the same way. They didn't have second-class citizens.
Yeah.
They didn't have Jim Crow. They didn't have all this stuff, but they got American media. And somewhere in the shuffle of that, and maybe if somebody knows more about this than I do, you can comment, blackface became like a style that has weirdly endured in the fashion district of Tokyo, Harajuku, today. With ganguro girls, it's like they will like blacken their faces or just severely tan them, bright red lipstick. It's a style.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, and I don't know what the associations of it are. I think there was a character that it was based on in a Japanese show that was based on American blackface, where it was like a witch woman that kind of looks like, I think, Jinx the Pokemon. It like just the osmosis and how everything kind of, trickled down. All of that culminated in the creation of Mr. Popo.
Right. And so we all know, we all love Mr. Popo. We all know that, nowadays probably wouldn't be exactly the most PC thing to do.
He's an interesting character with a design that would not fly in 2024.
Right. And I do need to make one point myself. That was really, really good insight there on the Japanese perspective. But so I'm watching the Japanese version right now, and Mr. Popo's voice it seems almost a little bit racist. It's kind of racist. Let's be real. I mean, he does, it's almost like the Japanese version of Popo. He can't really speak, or when he does speak, it's very, how do you say?
Animalistic.
Animalistic. Yeah. And it's like, I was like, oh God, this is not good. And then they kind of double down in this next scene. And we're not going to spend too much time on this because, it's been brought up a million times on other Dragon Ball Z pods and YouTube channels, but
it's interesting because in every version of the English dub that I've seen, because of his dress, he has like South Asian style dress, like kind of like Sikh with like the head thing,
Arabian kind of
like South Middle East, like South Asia kind of dress. So everybody kind of gives him that kind of voice,
right,
in the English version, or like something that feels derivative of that. But yeah, in the Japanese one, he's kind of creepy. Yeah. Like if you watch it in Japanese, like because he talks very simply, he never blinks, very animalistic. I mean, it's a great bit. The Team 4-Star dudes, when they did DBZ Abridged, how creepy they made Mr. Popo. Yeah,
but. Just to finish off this little piece here, that Bulma makes some pretty crazy comments. I mean, we have to at least mention that. She does say that, like, hey, she's scared of Mr. Popo, and then literally says in the Japanese version, obviously it's probably edited and changed in the English language version, but she says, once they go up to Yasmit Heights to find Kami's house
because he's like, I want to show you Kami's house. Yeah.
They go up there before they even leave their little ship. She says, "You haven't taken me here to do anything indecent to me." If you're listening and you can see, I just did a face palm because it's like it's pretty bad. I mean, she didn't even get on his carpet earlier.
She says it more than once.
Yeah, she says it more than once, guys. So
yeah.
We all love Bulma. We forgive her, and I'm sure right now she's working on bettering herself.
Okay, here's a take on that.
Right.
Bulma has been traumatized since she was 16 years old by Master Roshi.
Yeah.
When she first met Master Roshi, she had to flash her underwear at him in order to get his Dragon Ball, which she didn't know she was actually flashing full-on naked vagina at him.
Right.
Because Goku innocently removed her panties while she was asleep because he didn't feel her balls when he put his head on her lap to sleep.
The infamous pat.
Yeah.
If you've seen Dragon Ball.
It's a running bit where he just pats everybody's crotch because he can't tell visually whether people are boys or girls. And so I think, and also too, there've been, I think a couple, I'm trying to remember if there were other, Did Oolong? No, she was into Oolong when he transformed into a dude. Oolong was never into her because Oolong, if we want to talk about problematic, like Oolong was kidnapping exclusively like 8-year-old girls, and he was like an adult. He smoked cigars, that guy, when he was kidnapping these little girls. That is really messed up. But I think that Bulma has been traumatized by Master Roshi. Honestly, the amount of time she's had to allow him to like sexually assault her in order to get
he was handsy back in the day, and still kind of is, actually, as we'll go to a little bit briefly in the next episode. But that's not really what this is about. Those are actually just little moments. But we get back to point here. Great little segue, by the way. But Mr. Popo uses Namekian language to open up Kami's ship, which we didn't know was a ship until they get on board.
Well, he says the thing. He's like expounding, and it's funny too because where they land or where he teleports her to, it's a hike,
right?
And this is a recurring bit through all of Dragon Ball 2, where Bulma is less physically able than the characters.
Right.
Like Mr. Popo can just like hop up a mountain. Bulma has to actually climb it. It's freezing cold. She's in a t-shirt. Yeah. And all that, and then she finds the ship, and he gives this whole little story, and then he says the thing. It sets up the mystery. It's like, but he found that he could open the house by saying the word Piccolo, and then the thing comes down, and it's like, oh, okay,
okay.
What's the connection here?
Yeah. And so, luckily, Mr. Popo does speak fluent Namekian because obviously he's lived with Kami. So they say, let's take it to Jupiter. And boom, their ship blasts off. In 5 seconds, they're outside the orbit of Jupiter.
Right.
So give them props for being fearless, Bulma and Popo, for just being like, whatever. And she's like loving it, not scared at all.
Yeah.
In a ship that just went literally across the solar system. But, it's Bulma. She's a risk taker.
She is an adventurer.
Yeah. I do love that about Bulma. I think Bulma is a great character. I know we're just digging on her a little bit, but Bulma's a lot of fun. She gives fan service for that part.
She is the best girl.
She is the best girl.
She's the best girl. But the more I'm thinking about this, because now you've got me chewing on it. I do remember. We're gonna talk about her dad and her mom in a little bit.
We're gonna get
in this episode, but I have questions about their family dynamic because I feel like at a very young age too, Bulma knew that she could use her womanly wiles to get what she wants. That's the first tactic she ever uses to try to manipulate Goku. Yeah. She's like, I need your Dragon Ball so I can make a wish. She's like, no, it's my grandpa's keepsake.
Right.
I'm not giving you that. And she's like, all right, I'll let you touch my butt. And he's like, why do I want to touch your stinky butt? She's like, what? So, I mean, there's a lot going on, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if she's not willing to extend that same favor to bring back her boyfriend to Mr. Popo, there's something else going on there.
Yes. Moving on. Okay. Episode 38, Nursing Wounds. And this is also another canon episode, guys. So Goku, Krillin, and Gohan, they're still recovering in the hospital. And then they're prepared for their turn to the Saiyan attackers and training a little bit here and there while they can. Now, Bulma follows Mr. Popo. They find the ship. They go to Namek, blah, blah, blah. Not blah, 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 but they're hoping that Goku can recover before it's too late.
Right.
And can Bulma get to planet Namek? And once there, what obstacles await them?
Right.
Now, personal note for me, myself, I do love this dynamic we've been talking about between Krillin, Bulma, and Goku. It's really great to see some moments whether they're in the hospital, just kind of talking, or just kind of having like a down day. It's kind of like an episode of Friends where they're just like, hey, they're in the coffee shop, Central Perk, just shooting the shit, and just a little throwback to like the Dragon Ball days, man.
Right. Yeah, you know that they've known each other the longest out of everybody in the series. Master Roshi too, probably, but they've got history, and you can feel it when they interact.
And they do a good job of like making sure those moments are still there to give you those warm, heartwarming feelings that you got back when you watched Dragon Ball.
Right.
And say, hey, it's still we still got some Dragon Ball here, All right. So moving on, Bulma gives the good news that the ship should be ready to use. So they get the Namekian ship, Kami ship. They get it, bring it to Central City, or bring it to Where is Bulma's parents? Where is Capsule Corp?
Where's Capsule Corp? Yeah, I don't know what city. Not such a guru after all, huh?
So much DK. No,
I mean, okay. Can we just talk for a second about the ridiculousness of the world of Dragon Ball Z? This is the geography. There are cities, and then there is just millions of miles of wasteland.
Right.
And that's it. There's no in between. There are no like little towns. I mean, you occasionally in the wilderness, you have a house, like Goku's house is in the mountains. There's nothing else around there. Master Roshi's house is on a tiny little island without any resources or anything like that.
Right.
Yet they're constantly drinking orange juice and beer. It's just fully stocked all the time. So yeah, the geography of this place, it's hilarious.
No, so it's Australia, bud. Yeah.
Yeah.
It can very well be like Australia. Yeah, I mean, it's like, boom, you got city here, city there. And then you got one city up northeast. You got the Perth, Melbourne, Sydney. And then you got wasteland in between, mate. You know, that's terrible. Sorry.
It actually, that makes sense.
Forgive me, my Aussie buddies.
I think in the 80s too, Japan wasn't quite as developed. It was developing in the 80s, so you had major metropolitan areas, and then you had just a lot of forest and a lot of mountains and a lot of I don't think desert. I don't think there's desert.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
anyways, we'll talk about the geography in a future episode.
We'll do a whole episode.
We'll do a whole episode.
Geography.
We'll do a map on the and behind us on the green screen. Okay, so this is a really cool moment too. So they're sitting in the hospital, just shooting the shit, just kind of talking, and then Gohan, they're talking about who's going to go to Namek, and at first they're like, oh, you know what? Krillin's like, well, I'll go. You know, and they're like, Bulma, we need you to go. She's hesitant at first. She's like, I don't think so. Like, I don't want to go there. But she's like, hey, no one can fly the ship with, we need your expertise in science.
Right.
And she's like, okay, I guess I'll go.
And Krillin's the only adult that doesn't have his body shattered.
Yeah,
so he's
exactly.
like, well, yeah, I got to go.
Just by process of elimination,
Right.
Really no one else. I mean, maybe Roshi could, but I mean, he's old as hell.
Yeah.
So, and then Gohan, he's sitting there and he just kind of demands, he says, hey, I want to go. Because I want to be the one to help wish Piccolo back,
Right.
And then Goku gives kind of an approving nod. And, but Chi-Chi, she's pissed, as always. Pulling a classic Chi-Chi move. She's mad. She says, no, Gohan, you're not going to that. And then, boom, Gohan goes off. And this is the first time he's powered up before, but you never hear him, yell. He's like, no. And he says a really cool little speech saying, this is important to me. I need to make sure that I'm there to be the one to wish Piccolo back. It's my responsibility. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Gohan's growing up. That's a solid 5-year-old right there.
And you can tell he feels responsible that Piccolo died saving him.
Yeah. And that's another great, future, another great look at how strong the connection is between Gohan and Piccolo and how it gets even stronger.
Right.
Even up till now, Dragon Ball Superhero is basically a Piccolo Gohan story.
Right.
So you get a lot of really good moments.
And Chi-Chi, because Gohan just basically was like, shut the fuck up, Mom. he had his teenage rebellion moment at the age of 5. And she's like, oh no, my son is becoming a delinquent.
Yeah. And then Ox King, he just gives her a little pat on the back, says, okay, Chi-Chi. There's nothing you can do to stop your...
man must do what a man's gotta do, and a man is a man when he's 5.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can do to stop the 5-year-old. I can't really do his voice that well, actually, but there's nothing you can do to stop this 5-year-old from going to outer space to an unknown galaxy.
Right.
What? What are you talking about? Of course. You'd be like, no, you're grounded.
We're based in a culture, Japanese culture, where 3-year-olds can ride the train by themselves. A 5-year-old can go to space. It's fine. Yeah. I don't know why I'm making him. He's like Trump. He's
and he's like half Italian.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like kind of God. Chi-Chi, listen. He can go to outer space. It's great. He's a 5-year-old boy. He's a great boy. He's a very smart boy. He's the smartest boy I've ever seen. I saw that boy study. He's a very good boy. He could go to outer space, Chi-Chi. Let him go. Outer space is beautiful. I've never been, but I want to go. I've seen it. It's very beautiful. Sorry,
You do have the hair to match, DK. If you're listening.
Shit, yeah. This is all fake, guys.
That's not to be Super Saiyan, it's to be Trump. No, just kidding. No, okay.
Oh god. Okay. Half the audience unsubscribed.
Yeah. No, just kidding, guys. We're having a little bit of fun there. Okay, so then the gang reconvenes 5 days later at Kami House, and they head off to outer space.
And Gohan's got his cute little bowl cut.
Yeah.
And instantly, I love this dynamic because he's embarrassed. He's like in a little school outfit.
Right.
And Krillin, is still gonna rib him because he's like, come on, I think because I watched the Kai dub with my girlfriend for this, and I forget what he says in the comic in the Japanese, but he's like, hey Gohan, did you lose a bet or something like that? And it's funny, and all of this is pissing Bulma off because she has been like head down. She took a alien ship, converted the language to English, like all the commands, did all this preparation. She's like, this is serious shit. We're going into outer space. And like nobody,
she's in a full spacesuit as well.
Right.
So this is I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
go ahead.
It's a pretty cool moment because not often until later on do you see them out of their one outfit, their training gi or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, the question we need to pose here. I think, does Krillin also have great style too?
Oh, you mean his Krillin hat?
Krillin hat. And
Yeah.
he's got the cool jacket, and I was like, dude.
Is he wearing a jacket and shorts?
Yeah.
I forget.
But
yeah.
Look, Krillin has a fit. He has some fits, man. I'm telling you. He's got, not only has some of the coolest moves, he's got some style too, man.
Well, later when he adopts like the red polo and like the white pants, it's
No, that's dad mode. But like, but now he's still single. He even mentions later on that he hasn't slept with a woman yet. So like on Namek, he actually mentions that. We'll get to that in a future episode.
Yeah.
But Krillin, he's a cool dude, man.
Yeah, and I like Gohan's little school outfit.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's funny. It's fun. It's like, okay, and I think as soon as they blast off, he takes it off.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just to show Gohan's, genius already or whatever, he says, I made this in secret. I didn't tell mom. And he made himself a little Piccolo outfit to match what he wore in this fight against the Saiyans and to match Piccolo.
Yeah. Okay, so these next episodes, we're about to do episode 30, 39, 40, 41 and 42, I think, are all these filler episodes. So we're just gonna do kind of like a quick.
Let's just run through.
Yeah, we're just gonna run through these for like a brief breakdown of each episode for you guys.
Right. So really quick, just the culture of the ship. We have Gohan and Krillin who are training in their minds. They have this mind training, which I think is canon. I think it's in the canon. And that's a pretty cool thing. We've never seen that before. And Bulma in space is like full on Misato mode. She's just drinking. She's in her underwear.
Yeah, if you little throw to Neon Genesis Evangelion to Misato. Gotta love Misato Katsuragi.
Right.
One of my faves. But little fan service as well. That's Bulma's job. She's a fan service person for anyone who is into that kind of thing.
And surprisingly, like for Krillin being an incel at this point, he's surprisingly chill about it.
Yeah.
He's like, the best girl, she's not just in like underwear. She's like in underwear where like the bottom of her butt's sticking out.
Cut off t-shirt.
And she's just like kicking back in her chair, drinking beer, just like, I'm in space. And Krillin's
you're not embarrassed by that at all?
Krillin's like, there's a 5-year-old here. Yeah. Come on.
He's like, come on, bro. Yeah, so Bulma gonna Bulma.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Gohan joins Bulma and Krillin as they head to planet Namek in search of the Dragon Balls. But what begins as a mundane trip becomes chaotic when they encounter a bizarre situation in the emptiness of space. Now, they find themselves on some type of space station. They set on foot to find their escape. Okay.
They find themselves in a loose version of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Right. And this is 7 days, by the way, after they leave Earth.
Right.
As well.
So there are 7 days. It's a month-long trip, right? Yeah. So they get sucked into a space station. It's kind of like a house of horrors where more Star Wars things happen. Walls close, trapdoors go down.
Yeah. Indiana Jones, your typical stuff. It's like, trapdoors, the space compactor scene from Star Wars. They basically redo that one from A New Hope. Just booby traps here and there. So just a lot of filler stuff. It is kind of cool to note in these episodes that like Gohan does excel and he does like kind of step up without fear or getting nervous like he did before.
Right.
It is showing a little bit of growth in these filler episodes, but nothing really too interesting or exciting to note about that.
They always show a lot of Gohan's growth in the filler.
Right.
And then in the canon, it's just like he yells at his mom.
Yep.
That's his growth. Or I think his first major growth moment is when he convinces Krillin that they have to go back and help Goku fight Vegeta.
Right.
But yeah, in the filler episodes, they always make him very mature. He makes decisions. He takes charge.
Right.
All this stuff. And yeah, they find themselves in the hands of like a rebellion against someone named Frieza.
Who is this Frieza guy?
Right. Yeah, we have no idea. And back on Earth, Master Roshi is reminding all of us why Bulma is so traumatized and is afraid of like random dudes, possibly.
Look, Master Roshi, this guy, you know, he's always been the pervert. All right, we know that. We've known it. He's been around for hundreds of years, you know, back when things were a little bit different. But times do change, Roshi, as should you. But the nurse comes in the room and he literally just grabs her ass, and you know, he gets the moniker Grandpa Glad Hands from the nurses, and they know by this point, like, dudes, keep that guy away from me. I'm surprised he hasn't got escorted out of the hospital by now, to be honest. But
right.
So Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma, they get absorbed in this ship. They make their way through the booby traps, and then they finally meet these kids.
Right.
Mainly preteens, teenagers. There's no real adults here.
They look like characters from like the Dragon Warrior video game series, or Dragon Quest. That Toriyama did the designs for. They kind of have that look if those characters existed in space.
So basically, Bulma, Krillin, Gohan get surrounded by these kids. They don't attack. They say, should we attack? And it's just an old-fashioned kind of standoff happens. And then, boom, thankfully, something happens outside. And, like, they went through an asteroid field or something like that.
More Star Wars.
Yeah, more Star Wars stuff.
We're just piling Star Wars into this episode. They're like, what do we write?
Yeah.
Just write Star Wars stuff. Go.
Yeah. Okay, that's what happens. A meteor storm happens. It literally destroys the ship, or does, and there's lots of explosions. They have to come in and they have to, you know, help out the kids. I think Gohan saves a younger kid, or Krillin, I can't remember which one, saves Gohan shields a girl from an explosion, and that's when the crew realize these guys aren't Frieza's men, these are actually good guys.
Yeah, these guys are chill. You know, I don't have any hope that this resistance would have ever had a chance against Frieza.
No, I guarantee you Frieza could blink his eye and the whole ship's gone. I mean,
right. I mean,
not a big deal.
Do they say, because I genuinely don't remember, do they say what their gripe against Frieza is? Did he destroy their home world?
It's got to be. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that, guys, but I know that they're just part of the resistance against Frieza, which is evidently most of the universe besides Earth until this point, you know?
Which, I mean, like, I feel like even... I feel like one of Frieza's lowest dudes with, like, the little blaster on his hand could probably take out this entire ship by himself. So.
Exactly. Okay. And now we're up to episode 41, Look Out Below. So we're just going to actually just do the synopsis. This is a filler episode as well.
It's a few episodes covering this shit.
And we're just going to tell you this right now. So we're probably going to fly through these next three. Okay. 41, Look Out Below. When Bulma, Gohan, and Krillin crash land on planet Namek, they almost lose their lives when their ship falls off a cliff. Luckily, two kind Namekians are there to save them and their ship. Utilizing the help of one of them, named Raiti, they hunt down the 3 Dragon Balls marooned on the planet. Okay, so how are we gonna handle this?
Yeah, so they're not on Namek. It's a plot twist. We find out later that these guys are an alien species that can read their minds.
Yep.
And somehow they can produce fake Dragon Balls that a dragon radar is able to detect as well. And all in an elaborate plot to steal their ship, which they absolutely could have just done easily before, just by throwing them out of the ship and then just stealing their ship. If they could read their minds, they would have known how to pilot the ship. So these episodes are just like kind of Dragon Ball GT-ish in vibes.
DK, that's the best explanation of it. I mean, I've only seen a few episodes of GT. I try to stay away from it, to be honest, guys. Don't hate me, but it's like, you know, you don't eat the crab legs at the buffet if they've been there
Right.
for 8 hours,
As like a absolute lover of animation,
Right.
the one thing I will give props to a GT is that animation staff, the character designers, the animation directors, and some of the animation in that. I mean, it looks incredible. And I mean, I feel like in the West it wasn't a special letdown. Nobody liked it anywhere. Like the world over, everybody hated GT. But in America, it was set up like again, we've talked about like ad nauseum that we only had this syndication, that we didn't get to see what happened on the rest of Namek. Goku shows up and we had to start all over with Raditz again and all that shit. But at that time, a video game came out called Dragon Ball GT Final Bout, where Gohan was a grown-up, Goku's hair could turn yellow. There were characters that we never even heard of before. All this stuff. And there was a little animation that played at the beginning, a beautiful animation. If you haven't watched it, pause this or make a note to watch it later. The Dragon Ball GT Final Bout opening animation. Maybe we can just play it right here.
I can
for the video version. I don't know.
We'll get it right here. I'm gonna put it right here in the background, and I'll give you guys like a 30-second clip. But it's pretty cool. I remember that. It was a good little CD-ROM video.
And I mean, for me, like it showed Cell, it showed Majin Buu, it showed Frieza like in a different form and stuff like that. So I was like, what the hell is this? And so I thought that Dragon Ball GT was going to be like the Dark Knight of Dragon Ball, but like that kind of thing. And that's not what it was. It was like these episodes.
It was not. Yeah. See, these 4 episodes are basically just fillers. I mean, like, and when I say filler, I usually love fillers, like we talked about before. But these ones, I really do feel like if no one's gonna judge you if you pass these ones.
Yeah, they're nostalgic. If you grew up and this is all you had, and you're just like praying that after watching this for the 100th time, that you're gonna see what Goku actually does to the Ginyu Force on Namek. It's like, okay, like. Yes, I love it. Dragon Ball gods, give me more than this, But other than that, like, it's something that I'm glad on my rewatch with my girlfriend I didn't have to sit through. So thank you for taking that bullet for both of us.
This is definitely one of those Dragon Ball Z Kai moments when I was watching these and I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm ready to just fast forward. But I will tell you this one last bit about these episodes. On 42, search continues. They are, looking for the fake Dragon Balls, which we all know. Even first-time watchers probably wouldn't be too impressed with these episodes.
Right.
And and we're not haters. We love this series, obviously, to death. But these ones you could probably pass.
If you didn't read the comic, it might be interesting to you. Because as a kid, I didn't read the manga. I don't even know if it was available in America yet, like the Dragon Ball Z manga. So I thought that they had genuinely got to Namek. And I was like, oh yeah, like okay, these guys look like Piccolo. I think that they make a comment like, oh, they look just like Piccolo. Yeah. Or something that's like, okay, and then it's like a perilous adventure thing, and they have to get the Dragon Balls because the stakes are that their friends are dead and they have to bring them back. Yeah. But if you read the comic or if you've seen this before, this is just a slog. It's like,
Now, the one redeeming factor about these 4 episodes, and that includes episode 40, 42, which you just kind of touched on, 43, and even 44 as well. The best thing about these episodes that I took from this rewatch was that it was cool to see Gohan taking the lead in a lot of situations. He goes to try to get a Dragon Ball from a tornado, the eye of a tornado kind of thing they made. He dives deep in this acidic water to get another Dragon Ball. He does a lot of really cool stuff that does gives him a little more like power credibility in the world of Dragon Ball. Right. It says like, okay, you know what? If he's not going to be leveling up like Goku is and Vegeta is through their battles, at least it's showing some progression and growth through these filler episodes that Gohan gets.
It also makes him an active character.
Right.
He's not just reacting to the fact that Saiyans are here, we got to deal with them and stuff like that. Like he's actually doing perilous things. Right. And he's 5. So you're like, oh crap, you don't want this kid to die.
And he does mention it. He's like, no, I will do this because I need to bring Piccolo back. Right. So he does reassert his, love and desire to bring Piccolo back, and he's willing to pretty much, sacrifice himself to do it. And it was really cool to just see Gohan do that stuff. So,
and there's other stuff too. So just skimming over briefly, some world building stuff that happens in these episodes that are canon is that Vegeta arrives on planet Frieza number like 56 or something. I forget the number, but so we're getting the feelings already. We've heard the name Frieza, but now we're getting a sense that there's like an empire.
Right.
There are multiple planets Frieza, and everybody there has the armor that Vegeta wears.
Yeah. And this was cool. I always did love these moments. Like I was telling DK before we started shooting this episode, I said, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a spinoff like the Grey's Anatomy Vegeta, or because we got a Goku in the hospital, you know. But I always love those pods, like Skywalker pods, where like the whatever kind of chamber you call them. What would you call those things? Just
like which are kind of Star Warsy too, because there's Bacta in Star Wars, which is a blue liquid that you float around in with little things. So yeah, it is kind of like, and again, if for people who haven't listened to, I think it was episode 2 where I talked about the origins of Dragon Ball and the origins of Toriyama, the first thing that he wrote that got noticed was a Star Wars parody.
Yeah.
So dude loves Star Wars. So
he's a fan.
Yeah, he could borrow from it. Yeah, so it's like kind of like a back to tank type thing.
Yeah. And it's just cool to see. It's cool to just go to this little world. And it's funny because, like, you know, maybe when they did this, they knew they were going to flesh this out in the future for Bardock, stuff like that as well.
Right.
So this does give a very small sliver of the Frieza world before we even get to Planet Namek.
There is also a very subtle thing that I picked up on that I didn't realize before, is that this is the first time that you encounter anyone who doesn't treat Vegeta like he's a total badass. Yeah. But he kind of the doctors and everybody around him are kind of bureaucratic. They're like, oh, we're all serving the same Lord.
Right.
And stuff like that. And so you're like, wait a second, you're getting a world building sense that there is something bigger than Vegeta out in the universe.
Right. Yeah. And it definitely puts in perspective. It gives Frieza a little more ominous, future danger. And it also shows that like Vegeta's, in this world, he might not be as big and as bad as he was when he was on Earth.
Right. Totally.
So, really, really cool stuff there, which to be honest, I would have rather seen 2 episodes of just Vegeta floating in the tank and then talking about like Frieza and stuff.
If you were reading
playing poker, cards, just hanging out, drinking beers, you're like, oh.
If you were reading a sci-fi book of this story, there would be a whole chapter from the perspective of the Doctor and stuff like that, and like the person arriving near dead and they have to save him, and like at the end of the chapter it would reveal that it was Prince Vegeta and stuff like that, and you'd be like, oh shit, like it would be all that world building and you'd be like, what the hell is this chapter? Yeah. If anybody reads sci-fi or fantasy out there, I feel like that's how it would be done in a novel. But yeah, I agree with you. I would love the expansion of that. But there's also some more stuff that's filler with Goku too in this. He's sneaking out of the hospital. He's trying to train. I don't really like this filler.
Yeah. Well, Goku hurts himself again. He's out there training. He not just leaves the hospital. He goes to train. He goes back to the wastelands and is trying to get back in it.
Right.
And he's trying to use Kaioken. He's struggling with that. He goes 1 or 2, and you could just feel it. Like it's a very cringe moments because you're like, Goku, you're not healed. Don't do it. Don't do it. And
it's also like his bones are dust.
Yeah, they're still not recovered.
It's like I just want him to be in that coffin until he gets a sensu bean, so that we realize, sensu beans can regenerate bone.
Yeah, it's painful to watch as fans because it's like, you kind of feel the pain, which is I guess they did a good job. With that, But that's that. So basically, we're done. Okay, with this little section here, the fillers.
Yeah, Gohan and Krillin and Bulma escape from Fake Namek.
These guys almost get the ship. They don't. They close it. They get off Fake Namek, and then they are literally on their way to the fun.
Yeah.
To real Planet Namek. So we're gonna wrap up this pod with episode 45. Which, guess what? We are back to canon, baby.
Yep.
I love it. Now this is when it's amazing. So this next stretch of episodes, even before Frieza really gets involved, is going to be really cool. But first, we're going to give you a little breakdown of episode 45, Frieza Strikes.
Well, right at the end of 44, we see Frieza for the first time.
Yeah, so that's technically when Frieza first strikes.
Right.
Yeah.
This is how they always do it, so that you can't skip a filler episode. Is they put canon in the last 5 minutes of the episode, and then it's like, wait, who the hell is this guy?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Okay, so the hunt for the Dragon Balls hits a brick wall. Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma see two Saiyan pods land on Namek. What they don't realize that this once peaceful planet is being taken over by not only Vegeta, but also Frieza and his clan, making their quest even more difficult.
As is custom on the Nerdy Jock Dragon Ball Z Megapod, now we have to backtrack a little bit because we didn't talk about Vegeta waking up from the back to tank and all that stuff.
Yes.
Which, that world building stuff, so he says, is Lord Frieza here?
Right.
And then he's like, I'm off to Namek.
Yeah.
And he runs into a dude who's not only not afraid of him, the first dude who's not afraid of him, but is antagonistic towards him.
Yeah.
Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi, they talk shit.
Yeah, he's talking shit. And then he tells him, Frieza was listening in on your little shenanigans on Earth, and he's going to Namek to get immortality for himself. And Vegeta has already arrogantly shunned a scouter, which is something that he's never done before because he's starting to be able to sense ki.
Cool moment, actually, too.
But then when he realizes that the Emperor of the Universe himself, Frieza, is on the planet Namek, he runs back, grabs the scouter, gets a ship, and then Kiwi takes off after him.
Yeah.
And so now we know our heroes are on Namek. Vegeta is en route to Namek. Vegeta, who could kill all of them so easily, they stand no chance.
Yeah, and now that Vegeta is, he just got out of the back to tank, as we're going to just steal from Star Wars, sorry.
Yeah,
he got out of the back to tank, and guess what? Near death, he's even stronger than before. So
we don't know that yet, but yeah, I mean even if he was still he was 18,000 power level on Earth. This is where I get real into the weeds. 18,000, he can snap his fingers and kill Gohan and Krillin in a second.
And so now you got to imagine he's at least double that. Probably, I would say he's probably around more like 40,000 to 50 at this point.
I looked this up. I think he's like in the 20,000s right here.
That's a low. That's a low estimate for me.
You want to know what's crazy? Because I was looking this up. I actually, I don't know if this will ever be published, but I was tapped to write a listicle about underrated Dragon Ball characters. And one of the people on the list I had to put is someone we'll meet later. I'll touch on this more in detail then. But Nail has a power level of 42,000, which means that before the Ginyu Force arrives, he is the strongest person on Namek aside from Frieza, who has a power level of 530,000.
Dang.
Yeah, so Nail is the strong. Nail if Nail had run into Vegeta, if he wasn't so tied to his duties, he could just kill him easily.
Well, we actually do figure that out. We get to that in the next podcast. Actually, we're going to hit those episodes where Nail is introduced near the very end. Actually, but
sweet. Okay, so now we've set the table. Our heroes are on Namek. Vegeta is en route. There's a guy who's not scared of Vegeta, also en route. There's a guy that both Vegeta and that guy are scared of, that these kids in the filler episodes were had a rebellion against or whatever.
Exactly.
So, and that's what sets the table for episode 45, where we see these two pods land, and we know exactly who those guys are.
Yeah. So this is a great table setting for just a really cool, first 10 to 15 episodes of the planet Namek. They do a great introduction, not just of introducing the planet as a whole, but really the dynamics of what they're going to be doing as far as fights and what's going to be going on here.
Right.
They show, the Namekians, they go straight to it. They're already in peril, and we know there's not too many of them. There's maybe 180 to 200 people that are actually still alive.
Yeah, have we established that a drought wiped them out in the past already? Yeah.
So there was a big, I want to call it like the long winter. I mean, because the Japanese version says there was just a bad weather storm and it basically killed all these trees.
Right.
And most of the population died. And even though I guess drought would be a better thing to say because all the Namekians drink is water, which we find out.
Which if you deforest a place, the water sources go away. So
that does make sense. So that might be a difference in translation from the English language version and the Japanese language version. Because the Japanese version, they don't really mention that so much. But if I were adapting this myself, I think I would use, there was a water shortage. And the trees died, water shortage,
Right.
and then we lost 90% of the Namekians.
Right. And all of the current Namekians are all the children of one Namekian.
Right.
Which we'll get to later. But yeah, we go right into it. Frieza's going village to village, politely asking under threat of death.
Of death with a finger, pointing his finger. Might be the rudest part about it.
Right. He's got 2 lieutenants.
Yeah. Who exactly are these guys, DK? Give me a breakdown, because I love these 2 characters.
Yeah, these characters are great.
They're great. They're fun.
Meeting them as a kid too is just like, oh my god, like they're scary, and they all have armor that we associate with the Saiyans.
Yeah.
But we have Zarbon, who looks like the lead singer of an '80s hair metal band,
Right.
And then we have
Blue skin, green hair, pretty boy.
I think it's the reverse. I think it's green skin, blue hair.
No, I think it's blue skin, green hair. I watched it earlier today.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm slipping.
Yeah,
All right.
no, you're good. No.
Maybe.
But
and then we have Dodoria, who looks curiously like a Dorian fruit.
Dorian fruit.
More of the food wordplay with names there. Who's like much bigger. He's pink. He's grotesque looking.
Spiky head.
I mean, it's a nice juxtaposition because you have like this beautiful, humanoid whatever that's Zarbon, and then you have this like grotesque, huge,
just weird,
spiky pink dude, Dodoria, and they're basically doing all the murders.
Yeah, and it's funny because Dodoria's look isn't too dissimilar than the two bad guys that were pretending to be Nameks in the filler episodes. A little bit,
kind of. Yeah,
yeah. They do have similarities there. They're a little more crab-like in appearance, but Dodoria's a pretty cool character too. I mean, he doesn't last that long, but spoiler alert, by the way.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. Da, da, da. But anyways, so Zarbon and Dodoria are Frieza's 2 lieutenants who definitely do a lot of the heavy lifting here. Now, Frieza knows that Vegeta has arrived on Namek, and Frieza doesn't really care, honestly.
This is how much he doesn't give a fuck. Because he's wearing a scouter, and he knows Vegeta's wearing a scouter, and we know that if you're talking, everybody can hear you across space. Yeah. So he's like, oh yeah, Vegeta's here, like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he knows that Vegeta can hear everything he's saying. Yeah.
And Frieza's not, he doesn't sense power levels either, though, yet, does he?
No, and he never does.
And he never does, actually.
No, yeah. The reason that Frieza and his people have scouters is to detect power, because they don't have the ability to sense it.
Right.
Vegeta is starting to develop that ability because he ran into people that could do it, and he's just a quick study.
Probably one of the most underrated abilities, by the way. Like a really cool, like, hey, glad you learned that one, Vegeta, because that's important. You know?
And I'm wondering when that first was introduced. I think it might have been the fight against Piccolo Jr. After Goku trained with Kami, because that's when levitation was introduced with Bukujitsu. Yeah, I think it was that. I think it was the ability to sense ki came from Kami. Because I think Piccolo could do it too.
Yeah, Piccolo instinctually has always been good at that as well.
Right. Because I think Kami is disguised as a dude, right? And they're like, I feel something weird about that guy. Like, there's something weird about that guy. Like, I feel it or something like that. And it's like, yeah, because you know how to sense energy. Because apparently this is something that Namekians can do.
Yeah, he's got some telepathy.
Or just like a sixth sense.
Sixth sense, yeah. Sorry,
he sees dead
totally
people.
Wrong example there. Anyways, back to the plot. So Kiwi, he's a little dude. He's pretty fun. I wish he lived longer. He's just a character made to be killed.
He's another measuring stick.
He's a measuring stick.
Because we're told in expository dialogue that he and Vegeta have the same power level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another great moment. I love how they have to do this in every episode, and we should start doing this in future episodes where I have like, measuring stick moment. We just call it that.
Right.
Measuring stick moment. That'll be our new keyword.
We had Kaioken before, and Nappa were kind of both measuring sticks for both our heroes and for Vegeta himself. And then Kiwi is also just a measuring stick character.
And then we have measuring stick abilities as far as training goes for Goku, as far, on the spaceship, going 5 times, 10 times, 20 times Earth's gravity, stuff like that. Those are also, not people, but measuring sticks in another way.
Right.
Okay. So Kiwi is in hot pursuit of Vegeta. Zarbon makes a comment that Kiwi and Vegeta have the same power level. So they know Vegeta's there. They say, hey, Kiwi, go take care of Vegeta or go figure out, is he with us or is he against us?
Right.
We don't really quite know.
Is he in rebellion? Like, what's he doing here? Yeah.
But it's pretty apparent from the get-go that Frieza kind of knows that, well, he hates Saiyans. Okay, we should say that first.
He does hate Saiyans, yeah.
He hates Saiyans, but Vegeta is a powerful pawn, you know. I mean, it's almost like a pet, you know, like to
he does have a line of dialogue later, and I'll revisit it when we get there, where he makes a comment about why he kept Vegeta around as a pet.
Right.
He like even said, "I made sure you were away when I destroyed your world."
Yeah, which we don't quite know about that either yet, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So
I think we've talked about how the filler King Kai, who's supposed to be all-knowing in this galaxy, just makes up a total bullshit story about how Vegeta was destroyed, and even though he should know, like, it was Frieza, because he knows who Frieza is. We find out later. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine. This is what it's all about, man. Talking about the fun episodes.
Yeah.
So they also important to note that they do sense 2 more power levels, and they do find that. They are Gohan and Krillin, and then they want to go send someone to check out who it is. They're like, okay, we feel 2 power levels. They could sense with the scouters, but they also knew it wasn't Namekian too. They're like, these are different than Namekian. So maybe the scouters have like a biometric kind of thing to it too, where you can
I think that Gohan and Krillin are just so much stronger than the Namekians. Like they've got power levels in the thousands, whereas nobody but Nail has that kind of power level on Namek. Yeah,
that actually makes more sense.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, this is a little bit different. Like these guys, it's like around 4,000 or whatever. It's like, okay, you know, like maybe we should go check that out.
Right. So what? 3 dudes go to fight Krillin and Gohan, and then they get in a little fight, and then basically Gohan and Krillin just beat the crap out of them. These guys are not even measuring sticks. These are just pawns.
But not before they render the ship completely useless. So they break the window, so there's no cabin pressure.
Yeah, that's a big mistake.
Right.
That's gonna hurt.
So they quickly and they're hiding their power when they show up, and they do the thing where they quickly spike it, take the dudes out, and then drop it right back down so that they're under the radar. And now they know, henceforth, shit, we can't raise our power levels, otherwise Frieza is going to pick up and send more people after us.
Yeah, these next 10 episodes are kind of cool because it's a lot of Metal Gear Solid. You get your stealth action, you know? Totally. You get like a lot of cool scenes where they have to be smart about what they're doing and be tactful. Unless you're Gohan and you freak out here coming up. Well, spoiler alert, that happens in a minute. Not on this episode, but Gohan does get triggered. Anyways. So Kiwi, we cut back to Kiwi and he confronts Vegeta. And Kiwi says that his battle power is weak and that Vegeta reveals that he learned to control his ki and power levels doesn't matter. Or basically like the scouters don't matter because Vegeta can control his ki. You know, Kiwi doesn't believe it. And anyways, he charges up and starts around 19,000. That's Vegeta's power level. And he goes up until Kiwi's scouter explodes. Really cool moment there too. Now, so
I love this note that you put. You got to say this.
Okay. Also, Dodoria's scouter explodes as well from Vegeta's power up, and Dodoria's not even near Vegeta really, but he senses it and he powers up and boom, it explodes. So I was just thinking, I'm watching the episode, I'm like, dude, as like if scouters were real scouters and there's a scouter company that made them, they would be getting sued left and right for like explosions. Like, dude, it's like worse than those microwaves. You know when microwaves like have the electrical sparks in them?
Oh, totally.
Bad, it's like, and you're like, oh shit! If I keep playing this this microwave keeps going, it's gonna explode.
I mean, it's so arbitrary because like sometimes they can pick up power levels that are higher. They seem to explode if they're just processing numbers too quickly. It's like if Texas Instruments made a calculator where you're like 9 times 9 equals, and like if it goes too fast, the calculator just explodes.
Explodes. So like, you know, it's obvious that these scouters were not made by Capsule Corp because Capsule Corp is a legitimate company that makes quality products. You know, no free ads, but these whoever made these scouters, they need to like go back to the drawing board because there's a lot of face damage happening from these blowing up scouters.
Well, we have to remember that Capsule Corp wasn't able to make the type of spaceships that this civilization has.
True.
So, and Bulma never makes a scouter.
Yeah.
Never
That's
makes
true.
a scouter. Yeah. So, I mean, hate on it all you want. This is the best they could do. Except for, I believe the Ginyu Force brings an advanced scouter later.
Yes.
There's a special thing where they're like, here are the advanced scouters. And I think like these ones, after multiple lawsuits, these are the ones that don't explode.
It's like you guys had like the cheap versions, and like we have the good ones. But
and why doesn't the Doria like look at Zarbon and go, "Why didn't your scouter explode?"
Right? Yeah.
It's
he's like, because we need one for the next episode.
Right? Yeah. We need them as plot points later, so only a couple of them are allowed to explode.
But it was important at the end of this episode. Zarbon, Doria, Frieza, they discuss that. They do realize now that Vegeta's power levels have increased significantly.
Right.
And he might pose a more serious threat than they had originally deemed possible.
And because of the exploding scouter, they don't know just how much his power has increased.
So who knows, really? Anyways, they cut back to Vegeta, fighting Kiwi. And then Kiwi just does this huge attack, like pretty much busts his whole nut on this one shot, and just Kiwi attempts a point blank attack with the power of a nuke. Like you see an explosion, boom, the ground breaks, everything. It's nuts.
And he does like the classic like old cartoon. It's like, look, it's Master Frieza.
Yeah.
Vegeta's like, what? And then
And then he hits him with the attack, and it's like, so a little sneak attack, and it doesn't work at all. And Vegeta just gives him one punch in the stomach and blows him up. So
lights out.
Vegeta's that back to tank was pretty useful for him, I'd say.
Yeah.
And at the end of this episode, we cut back to Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma, and they find a cool cave that Bulma decides to make a temporary home for them on planet Namek.
Yeah. So they have a place to hide. They're not out in the open. Gohan and Krillin know that they have to suppress their power level so it can't be detected by a scouter. So, they're in a bad situation. They're stranded now on this planet, but at least they have shelter, which I think, was it Bear Grylls that says that's like one of the first things you need to find when you're out in the wilderness.
So, so that pretty much wraps up this episode. We covered 36 through 45. A ton of episodes. A lot of them were filler.
A lot of filler, yeah.
But if you haven't seen it before, go check it out. Or, watch them in the background if you're doing laundry. But for the most part, now shit gets good.
Now this is the good stuff. Yeah.
This is fun. I'm so excited for the next episode. So tune in, guys. We're gonna get right to it. See you next week on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z Megapod.
Check you later.
All right.
Nice. Cool.
Boom.
In the bank.